Praise the Lord. I'm Andrew Singleton Jr., Senior Pastor of Victory Apostolic Church in Matteson, Illinois, and I'm so excited to bring you another episode of Faithing the Facts as we talk about living in the post-pandemic world. And we are now in the last of 3 classes, Faithing the Facts, on the book of Job. After 37 chapters, mostly a back and forth with Job and his so-called friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and so far some remarks from another person named Elihu, Job is still not convinced of why he's going through what he's going through. He still demands an audience with God to present his case, not understanding that as a human being, no human being has a standing before God, who is holy and righteous, and we are sinners. And like Job, I hope that you're going to learn from what I'm getting ready to read that sometimes you ought to watch what you pray for, because you just might get it. I know there are people who are doing this pandemic also are challenging God, and why is he allowed this to happen? Millions and millions of people sick, hundreds of thousands in the United States dead. How do we move past this? Can we continue to trust God? Well, Job gets his prayer answered in the 38th chapter, which I will now read. Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. He said, "Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man, Job. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundations? Tell me if you understand. Who marked out its dimensions? Surely you know." Like I said, you better watch what you pray for, because now God is saying to Job, I'm way too high in my holiness and righteousness and sovereignty for you to attack me. However, if you can answer my questions that go on and on about things in nature, about things in the heavens, about stars and galaxies, God now challenges Job in the 40th chapter with this statement that I think is so applicable to many people's lives who are really going through a lot and really don't understand the why and feel, because you are living right, that you shouldn't have to go through it. I'd like you to hear what Job says, and God says rather to Job. In Job chapter 40, verse 7 and 8, the Bible reads, God says, "Job, brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Would you discredit my justice? Would you condemn me to justify yourself?" So now, though many of you have been through the book of Job many times, for some of you it's the first time you've seen that this righteous man Job was also a self-righteous man. And he was willing for God to be brought down so that his self-righteousness would be lifted up. I want you to see now that Job has this understanding, his response, no longer self-righteous, but in humility and understanding the greatness and sovereignty of God. So in Job chapter 42, verses 1 through 3, then Job replied to the Lord, "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You ask, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely, said Job, I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know." After that, in chapter 42, verse number 10, after God restores everything to Job, as most of you know, he got double back what he had with children, wealth, status, friends. Even though my personal belief that this is far more about God being sovereign than Job getting, as you've often heard, preached double for his trouble. God, he now understands, has control over his individual life. But as I end this one, And especially since so many of you may have felt hurt and betrayed by your friends during this pandemic. God told Job to go pray for them in chapter 42, verse 10. Can you pray for those that have falsely accused you and falsely judged you, especially during the pandemic and now that we're moving past? Are you going to be able to restore your relationships with those whose trust has been broken? And especially if they're repentant and they see, like Job's friends, that they were wrong, can you pray for them? We as Christians must learn how to pray one for another. And we must especially pray for those who have done us wrong, because from the cross, Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I appreciate your support of our videos on YouTube. If you can do us a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to receive notifications